How's it going, everybody? Welcome again to the second podcast. Maybe New Zealand's number one podcast here in New Zealand. We don't know, but we shall see. Back at again for another episode, guys. We have another thing coming up, another great episode. So make sure you guys sit down, tune in, get a notepad, get a notebook, and write some notes down because some gems are about to drop with our special guest here today. Before we get started, remember, guys, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and we're also on Google Podcasts. So wherever you get a podcast, go ahead. There's no excuses for you guys to miss on these episodes. So go ahead, follow us, and listen to these podcasts. And also, on top of that, we're also on all social media platforms. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we are also on YouTube. So go ahead, like, subscribe, comment on those. And yeah, whatever you're doing, if you're running, if you're walking, cooking in the kitchen, if you're at work and you listen to this podcast, really tune in and think about what's being said. You know, a lot of the stuff that we say is literally with people within our community that have been through experiences such as yourself and who may have sharing the same thoughts that they have or that you have had that you could probably benefit from. So yeah, so tune in, guys. We're excited for this one. And go ahead and again, on the platforms as well, social platforms, go ahead and follow us because those indicate so you can stay up to date on all our content coming out every week. So yeah, so let's get our red carpet warm welcome ready to our special guest here today, Lourissa Setu. How's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries. The pleasure is ours. The pleasure is ours. Let's get right into it, Lourissa. So, yes, just give us your name, where you're from, your favorite food, and what you've been up to lately.
Cool. So, of course, my name is Lourissa Setu. I'm from Wellington, New Zealand, or currently living in Palmerston North at the moment. Favorite food? I'm kind of like tying up right now between like bubble tea and sushi. Yeah. Bubble tea, it's delicious. Love bubble tea. Some people either they love it or they hate it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think it depends on like the little balls inside.
There's this really funny meme, and it's like, "Hi, I'm bubble tea. Like, suck my balls or something," because you know how you suck them up the straw. But anyway, yeah, bubble tea or like sushi or something like I love Asian food.
Oh, Asian cuisine. Food. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And for what I've been up to lately, I don't even know where to start, actually, quite a lot. Been, I guess, having a few lessons this year. I did, however, just come back from Bali about a month ago.
Oh, yes.
Amazing over there.
Looked like an amazing adventure.
If you haven't been to Bali, I totally recommend it. And there's so much to do over there, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know, you can go out on any night of the week. If it's Sunday, if it's Monday night, you can hit the beach clubs and things like that. So yeah, that was really amazing. I met some incredible people over there. And actually going back over there in December, yeah, getting a one-way ticket. So yeah, we'll see kind of like where that adventure takes me. Yeah.
I like that. That's super cool, guys. Guys, authentic fam. Lorissa's also leaving a few details out. You know, her being a business-minded woman herself, an entrepreneur. You know, a model as well on the side. So she's a lot and an influencer. So she's got a lot of stuff going on as well on top of that. But I guess what we'll do, we'll just touch a little bit about that first before we get into some other stuff later on. I guess just talk to us about, the various business ventures, such as yourself. Like what especially, one of them is affiliate marketing as well, right? On top of that, I know there's some bit of a model influence as well. So I guess for you yourself, being a businesswoman such as yourself in the community, just talk to us like what that is like for you.
Yeah, I feel like for people to kind of see maybe like where I came from, I'll kind of start from the beginning because I feel like when you understand like where it sort of like started, you can kind of relate to this as well. But yeah, coming into affiliate marketing, this was like I know it sounds so cheesy, but like it was life-changing for me. So I actually started affiliate marketing back in 2019, I think around about April. Not gonna lie, it's pretty scary because, you know, when you take ownership of your life, and I just remember kind of like, you know, working a job and things like that and just thinking, like, I just don't want someone else to dictate the amount of money I make and things like that. And I would scroll on, like, you know, social media, and I was like, how are these people out here living their life while I'm kind of like, you know, stuck in this office? So I actually saw a couple of my friends online who had started affiliate marketing themselves. And I actually just kind of like, you know, reached out to them and were like, what is this and how do I start? It was a little bit rough at the start because, you know, I didn't have a lot of money and things like that. I took a bit of a bet on myself and, you know, invested into it, and I was left with like $4, and I was like, I was actually really, really, really scared. I was like, how am I going to make this work, you know? My belief in myself was pretty low, like I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I can be like them and things like that. But I just decided to go all in, make the commitment to myself, like do whatever it was required of me and be the person who I needed to be to create that success. And yeah, within 12 months, just a really like long story short, within 12 months I was able to leave my 9 to 5. Even kind of looking back at it now, I can't almost like comprehend the sort of amount of financial gain that it allowed, you know, that it was able to give me. And then, yeah, left my job in May 2020. I was able to put a deposit on a house with the money that I was able to make from that. What else did I do in 2020? It feels like so long ago. Oh, lockdown and all of that happened, right?
COVID.
I almost like forget that even happened. Like we don't even have to wear masks and things, you know, in the supermarket or
back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lockdown happened, and that was also a big wake up as well because, you know, people were losing their jobs and things like that. And this kind of comes back to I wanted to take ownership and, you know, of my own life and not have to rely on, you know, a job or like whatever it was. And that was a big eye opener for me as well because I was still working when, you know, in my 9 to 5 when COVID hit and all of that. But when we were in lockdown, I remember my dad, he wasn't able to work. And it was a big moment for me because I was able to, you know, give him quite a lot of, you know, money to support him and things like that. And then, yeah, after that, I did take a step back for about 2 years. So it's, what is it now, like October 2022?
2022, yeah.
And I've learnt a lot in those 2 years that I stepped away. And even though I kick myself for walking away from it, you know, there's lessons in it where it's like, okay, I kind of need to step away to experience a few things and go through a few things. And I've decided to come back into it. And this kind of comes back to like, wow, I'm so grateful that I did make that decision and I did commit to myself back in 2019 because throughout those 2 years for doing nothing, it was still paying me.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And also, I feel like this is turning into a really long story, but the amount of lives that were impacted as well. So like the ripple effect that happened from that in those 2 years too. I got to see women that I introduced to it and helped support and mentored, you know, and helped them get their success. Them grow. Exactly. I've seen the ripple effect of them go on to, you know, retire themselves and leave their 9 to 5s, go on and buy their own houses with the, you know, amount of money that they're able to make from affiliate marketing as well, retire, you know, their partners, and then like it's pretty big when you see families able to stay home with their children and not have to,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Just spend time with their family, you know, be able to do the life they want to live.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of seeing their dreams and things come true. Yeah.
That's super cool. I guess just touch for audience who I guess don't know what affiliate marketing is. Would you like to just briefly touch on what, like a little bit what it is really?
Yeah. So we're partnered with like a platform. It's like an educational platform that kind of like does all the like sales calls and things for us. So there's a certain amount of automation, and then we're partnered with a company which has an high ticket offer attached, and then well, you probably see it all online where people are like comparing low ticket and then high ticket offers, where low ticket offers, you know, give you small compensation, whereas high ticket offers give you very large compensation, like, you know, a few $1,000 to like 5 figures sort of thing, and like 2 sales. So
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's super cool. Yeah, and I guess like we've been seeing a lot of not only success but like mainly just the amount of growth and change, you know, with, you know, not like obviously yourself, but also that team or the group of friends that you have that have been doing it, correct?
and they've gone off to, you know, go do it themselves as well. So that's been amazing to watch them, even if it's from afar.
Yeah.
But, yeah, even if it's just from online, I'm still there supporting them.
That's super cool. I guess mainly speaking of growth and, you know, also success as well. I guess you want to touch a little bit about, you know, this year, or has been type of a growing type of year for yourself.
Yeah.
And we want to just touch about that, I guess, just trying to balance with balancing everything that you've been doing, but also because here on the podcast we focus a lot on, I guess, a growth mindset type of mentality. Trying to help us push forward and also overcome things, obstacles. And we want to just, I guess, talk about your journey you've had throughout this past couple months or a year, and just your thoughts on, touch us on self-worth and that confidence that you've been, I guess, going through.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever you're going through right now, like anyone that's listening, like you can come out on top with it. This year's been, a lot of things, like I kind of feel like this year's just turned upside down, or like, you know, done like a 360 or whatever it is, or 180. But I have, like, there's been a lot of things that I've been through throughout my life, even like prior to this year. And it's also a big reminder, like, you know, I've been able to go through that and I guess like heal or overcome those things. And if you do kind of look back on your life and you see that you've come out on top through those things, and those things don't, like, I wouldn't say they don't matter, but you've learnt a lot through those experiences. Just kind of like, it's not like life has always been easy. Quite a few years back, I've been through a very, very abusive relationship where I've actually kind of like, you know, feared for my life. He actually like ended up going to jail and like things like that. But it also taught me, like, people will say like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry you had to go through that and things. But I also think I wouldn't actually change any of that, because it's kind of given me the resilience or the strength to, I don't know, where I am now, I guess. And kind of coming back to it too, it was a huge drive for me to do better in my life as well, because my self-worth was so low. And I just remember deciding, like, no, I'm actually going, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm going to, like, you know, make something of my life, especially because, there was just some things that he would say, like, you know, no one's going to want you, or like, you know, things like that. And they can stick with us as well. But this year's been like a bit tough. I took a step, because, you know, I kind of took a step back from the affiliate marketing, even though it was still paying me. It wasn't I just wasn't really where I wanted to be.
At that point in time, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my my like partner of like 3 years, we split up, and I never kind of saw that coming. So that was really hard, and I was quite heartbroken over that. And you know, when you're in a space of heartbreak, you just kind of feel like you can't, you know, do
Can't
anything.
cope. Yeah.
So my mental health went down, and like it felt like my world was crumbling. But it also made me reflect on, like, you know, who I was and what I was doing. And I think sometimes as well, we can be so quick to blame the other person.
Yeah.
But what if we actually looked at ourselves and how we played a part in all of that? So yeah, a lot of like self-reflection went through that. And I also realized, like, fuck, you don't want to hit rock bottom before you actually realize, oh, I had put like my health on the back burner, my personal development, like all of that. And it actually helped me reconnect back to all of that, and then also back into affiliate marketing as well. I kind of like almost lost my purpose or like my vision through that too, because I was so fixated and so focused on this other person and my relationship there that I kind of just forgot about myself. Yeah.
I think that's super important. Just like what you mentioned is finding that balance, and to, I guess, really know where your energy goes, and then how to balance that energy out.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like sometimes us as people, we can sometimes be we can take the energy for granted, even even not like also relationships, but with anything in general, like maybe social media, or maybe different type of relationships. Like anything that we can give too much that doesn't reciprocate back.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a huge thing, because there's only so much of your energy that you can give, and if it's not given back, or it can hurt the person, a lot, to a point where like they won't be able to cooperate, or they put themselves in a place where it's hard for them to, get back up,
Yeah, you're so right. And kind of also too, like if you're so just like focused or putting that other person first, just don't forget about yourself. Like it's probably not the best thing to say. I kind of like look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have put, I was so going out of my way for this other person, or, as far as I see it, that what if I put all that energy and stuff into myself and my business as well, how different things could look right now. But at the same time, you go through things, and the best way to learn is kind of like through experience as well. That's where the true wisdom kind of like comes from.
Experience is life's greatest lessons given to us. So that's super cool. And I feel like, touching on that point, you're so right. I feel as if sometimes us as people, like, we kind of put our blinders on, especially if it's for a certain person, or
like love,
especially for love. Love can do anything to someone, especially especially here, guys. Like, if you fall in love, that's like, it can go either way. But yeah, like,
you don't want to become like consumed.
100%.
You've got to stay like focused on yourself as well, and I wrote this on my Instagram not long ago, and it's like been stuck in my head over the last few weeks. Like, nobody has your back as hard as you do.
As hard as yourself.
Because you can never control what anyone else outside of you does. Like, for example, you can't control. You might be in this relationship and like be in love.
Yeah.
Not saying it's ever going to happen, but what if they fall out of love with you and you've totally forgotten about yourself?
It's happened. Yeah, I feel like it's happened to people as well. Like, and I feel like the most important person, obviously, is yourself. Especially like at this time, like, despite if you're in a relationship or not, obviously you got to think about your well-being and who you are as well. But you gotta really, in terms of relationships, you really gotta focus and be like, I gotta balance things out. And I feel like in a relationship, it's both people need to be working at the same time, you know? And sometimes we can catch ourselves, one putting in more effort than the other, you know? And I don't know, people, like, sometimes you don't know, you may be oblivious to the fact that you're doing it or not, but yeah. I don't know, it can lead off to whatever it may be. But the most important thing, guys, is the blinders. And don't forget yourself. We're going on this little tangent of.
There's like this one quote, I'll try to remember it, and it's from, I think, the book The Alchemist by Paul, oh gosh, I can't remember the author's name. The Alchemist, I think it's like the #1 book in the world or something like that. And there's a quote in it, and it's like, every man has a purpose. I think it's every man has a purpose, and it's not a woman. And, you know, it kind of goes vice versa too. Or it's like, you know, not just like one. Yeah. You kind of got to have like your own path and your own things going on. Like, just not fully one person.
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense.
I think it makes sense. I get what you're saying. It's
something like that anyway. Something like that. Hopefully those listening, they know the quote.
Speaking of purpose, I guess we wanted to just touch on a little bit on that, especially on having purpose. What does having purpose mean to you? Because I know that's a big thing that I guess us as a team here on the Setu podcast, but focusing especially on the community, is a lot of us struggle to find our purpose. A lot of us struggle to carry on with our purpose, or even have maybe different purposes and don't know what purpose to choose from. So I feel like, let's just touch on purpose for a bit and the importance of having a purpose, especially, you know, being a businesswoman yourself and also doing other various things and balancing energy within your life. How important is having purpose within someone's life?
Yeah, I guess, you know how you're like, they're choosing their there's many purposes to choose from. I guess there's like, you know, it can be multiple things. For me, when I kind of like think about it, I'm like, okay, what actually like lights me up and I feel it in here. And when I kind of spoke around, you know, I felt like I kind of like lost my purpose or lost my vision because I was so distracted by other things going on. But like reconnecting back into it, like especially in 2020, that kind of like unraveled a lot for me, and it became clear about, you know, what I kind of like what my purpose was, or like what my vision was. A huge one for me is like, I just really want to empower people to go out and do whatever it is, that thing that they want to do. And maybe they are too like frightened to, or, you know, there's a lot of fear there, or there's like doubt there, or they don't believe that they can do it. So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can't expect someone else to go out and, I don't know, believe in themselves and commit to themselves if I don't do that in pursuit of like my dreams. Okay, and because it inspires people. Like, if I was to ask you, you know, who inspires you and why, you'd be able to, you know, name someone, explain why, and imagine if that person didn't go off and do that thing, and you never saw it, you wouldn't have been inspired by it, 100. Right? Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense, and just it really lights me up coming back to that community of, you know, affiliate marketers that I got to play like a little part in their life
to get to that certain point.
They've built a whole lot of success for, and it's changed their life. You know, if I didn't go first, then that never would have happened. Fun. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Guys, moving on to our next question on podcast. What is the best piece of advice you've received?
Best advice. The first thing that comes to my head is like, do whatever makes you happy. But I'm just like, because that's just such a basic piece of advice. And also sometimes I feel like you got to do the things that really don't make you happy to get the things you want. There's going to be a lot of things you don't want to do, but what's on the other side of it, you know, that's what you're after. Oh, the best piece of advice. Oh my gosh, I'm really trying to think. And what also kind of comes to my mind is like advice I've almost given myself through things that I've gone through, where I'm like reflecting on it, because I think you know yourself better than anyone else does. You know what I mean? So sometimes like the best advice you can give yourself is from those certain things that have happened in your life. Yeah. Probably from myself, to be complete, like that sounds weird, but yeah, to be completely honest, because I can't really think of anything that's like impacted me as much.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes for everyone as well. Like, yeah. Oh, well, if it does go for everyone else,
100% does. And then, worst piece of advice you've ever received?
I don't know. Worst piece of advice. Oh my gosh, I have to think about that. But the first thing that comes to my mind is like, no, try this. It's like so good.
Yeah.
And I've tried it, and I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, I can't even remember what kind of food it was. Maybe it was like, so I used to hate kinners.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, everyone that likes kinners.
I like them now. My taste buds have changed. Oh, no, it wasn't kinners. It was oysters.
Oysters. Okay.
Oh, gag, like, so bad. But now I love oysters. Yeah.
Just put some of that lemon on, you know?
Yep. Put lemon on and you're sweet to go. Yeah, no inspirational kind of thing around the worst piece of advice. I can't.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah. Or maybe, actually.
Oh.
And this also came from, like, you know, my personal experience and, like, then what I wanted. But, you know, that encouragement to kind of, like, you know, get a job, and that's sort of, like, how society expects you to do certain things, and, like, what's good and what's, you know, not socially acceptable and things like that. Yeah, maybe that's, like, probably the worst advice. Because when I tried to and went down that route, like, it just didn't work for me. It didn't align with the kind of life that I did want to live, and I was just unhappy. Yeah, probably that. Sorry,
I like that.
System,
No, that's good. That's some good gems right there, guys. And then moving on to our final question, what does authentic mean to you?
Yeah, I think just being free to be whoever you are without having to feel you need to be a certain way, or even sort of maybe having like a bit of shame or embarrassment around certain parts of yourself. Like, everyone's unique in their own like way. Like, don't be afraid to be different. Yeah.
I like that, 100%. I feel like at times, like, especially nowadays, it's hard for us to even, I guess, want to be ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because sometimes we hold ourselves back because we don't feel like maybe it's going to be accepted or liked by other people. But when you're free to, like, just be yourself, the right people, you know, are going to align with you, and, you know, the right people are going to love you and accept you.
No matter what.
Yeah.
I guess it's also finding that group that actually supports you in what you do, you know?
Yeah.
And even though for those of you who struggle to find support, who just have themselves, it's, you know, you just got to really dig in and dig deep to be able to understand that, you know, it's best always to be yourself, especially when it's hard to, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of things open up for you as well when you sort of break free. Because I guess as well, it's a bit of a, worrying what people are going to think and things like that. Yeah. But if you kind of look at it too, you see some of the most successful people in the world that at the start, or even now still, some people might think they're bat crazy. But look at what they've made of themselves through their, crazy ideas and just fully being themselves. Like, I think Elon Musk is one.
Yeah.
Huge example. Yeah.
I think, going on top of that, it's just important to understand that, we all need to be able to express ourselves and be comfortable being ourselves. I think that's the important thing, to be comfortable to be yourself, because in retrospect, when you're comfortable to be yourself, then you find out who's really your friend or who's really in your support group. And then if they're not, they wouldn't vibe with it. Other than that, you gravitate towards those who want to be themselves, or the type of people that you want to surround yourself with. I think that's important,
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that.
100%. Guys, we had a great podcast here today with Lourissa. We're grateful for her and for her time to sacrifice to be here with us on the podcast. Is there anything you'd like to share before we close our show?
Well, thank you for having me on here. And yeah, just like whatever it is, like anyone that's listening, I don't know, if you feel like you're stuck and you can't get out of, your situation or like whatever it is right now, I just really want you to, and I know as hard as it can like sound, you can move from that and you can go on to create whatever it is that you want to. It's just going to take, for you to commit to yourself to actually doing that and just taking those consistent steps like every day, You got this. You got this.
You got this, guys. You heard it here first from Lourissa on Authentic Podcast. Guys, stay consistent, stay true, stay authentic, family, most importantly. As well as that, make sure you guys like, subscribe our content down below. If you haven't already, go ahead to check out our YouTube channels. Go ahead to check out our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcast. Listen to our podcast, guys, wherever you're at, wherever you listen to your podcast, and follow us on social media to get updated on all episodes. We'll make sure that we'll put Lorissa's info, especially her platforms, down below. But until then, guys, make sure you stay true, stay authentic, and keep it up to you next week. All right, guys. Peace out.
See you guys. Bye.